Thank you very much, choir, for such a beautiful rendition of our national anthem. May I then invite CSIR to give us a security briefing. I wish to also acknowledge our colleagues from other government departments present.
Thank you, Program Director. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ICC CSIR. My name is Jobe Mkacho. I'm the Setup and Safety Coordinator. For emergency purposes, we kindly request for the overflow to use the Emerald and the Ruby, the streaming, for our own safety. Because in case of an emergency, an alarm will sound, we'll use the exits. Please use the nearest exits. Do not panic. Do not run. Our emergency team will assist you to the emergency assembly area. So I'm just worried that our routes now to those areas are a bit blocked. Please use sanitizing stations around the venue. If you're not feeling well, we have medics on site to assist you. Please take care of your personal belongings, as this is a public building. We have free Wi-Fi, CSIR, no password required. Ablution facilities we have around the venue. Look out for signage. If there's anything you need, our friendly staff is here to assist you. You can go to the reception and also ask for me. Please enjoy the rest of your session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jobe. May I then invite the landlord, the CSIR CEO, Dr. Dlamini, to welcome all of us as participants.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kele, the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Blayton Nzimande, the Deputy Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Nomalungelo Kina, the Director General of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, and our Program Director for today, Dr. Mlungisi Cele, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, leaders of business, science councils and academia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the CSIR, I extend our warmest welcome to all of you to the CSIR on the occasion of the 10th Science Forum South Africa Conference. The theme for this year's conference, placing science, technology, and innovation at the center of government, education, industry, and society, is both timely and transformative. It reflects the clarion call by the Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation to harness science as a driver of meaningful impact, making a difference in the lives of South Africans and beyond. For the CSIR, this call resonates very well and deeply with our mandate, which is to undertake directed research and technological innovation that fosters industrial development, builds a capable state, and addresses the socio-economic challenges of our time, ultimately contributing to improving the quality of life of the people of South Africa. Founded in 1945 on the conviction that organized research is a catalyst for technological advancement and industrialization, the CSIR has remained a driving force for innovation and progress in South Africa. Our work has laid the foundation for the creation of several industries. We have pioneered the development of a number of world-first technologies that have given South African industries a globally competitive edge. We have licensed several technologies in South Africa and abroad, demonstrating the depth and relevance of the capabilities that we've built over the past 8 years. And we've also provided a number of technological solutions that have contributed to improving the capable state. The Science Forum South Africa has become a beacon for dialogue, collaboration, and action in advancing science, technology, and innovation across our continent and beyond. In the 21st century, science is no longer a peripheral consideration. It is an engine of progress, sustainability, equality, and competitive advantage. Recently, South Africa hosted the G20 summit, where world leaders emphasized the need for greater solidarity and equality. Science, indeed, is one of the powerful instruments that can be utilized to achieve this goal by fostering collaboration across borders, disciplines, as well as sectors. I congratulate the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation for the foresight to create the Science Diplomacy Capital for Africa, hosted here at the CSIR, which uses scientific collaboration as a tool to strengthen international relations and address global challenges. This forum calls upon all of us in the science community to ensure that we use scientific data and technological insights to support governments develop evidence-based policies, that we leverage technologies such as artificial intelligence, big data, and automation to improve public services, transparency, and efficiency, that we use innovation to fuel competitiveness, productivity, and job creation, enabling Africa to be a global player in emerging technologies, and lastly, to ensure that science empowers citizens, promotes inclusivity, and bridges inequalities so that technological progress benefits all nations and all sectors of society. As we gather here, let us reaffirm our commitment to collaboration across borders and sectors. I invite you to engage fully in the discussions, share your thoughts, and forge connections that will translate ideas into impact. Let this forum be a catalyst for bold action and transformative change. Welcome to the CSIR and the Science Forum South Africa 2025. Thank you.
Siyabonga landlord. Yeah, you must stand. So please translate it to those who do not understand this concept of must stand. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to then invite Minister Professor Nzimande to address us. And Minister, your address will be broadcast live by SABC, as I understand. So we are going to be appearing on TV, so you better smile. Let's give the minister resounding.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Dr. Mlungi Sicele, who is also our Director General of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, and also thank Stand, the CEO of the CSIR, for also welcoming us here. Let me also then greet our Deputy Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Nomalungelo Gina, my advisor, Ngaba Ngandele, and our science expert, Dr. Derek Swartz, Representatives of the diplomatic corps, we are all most welcome here. I happen to be sitting, people mustn't accuse me of favoritism. I didn't sit myself. I'm sitting next to the Chinese ambassador, and behind me there's the Cuban ambassador. So don't accuse me, and say I'm but I recognize all the ambassadors, all of them, equally. We are very pleased that you are here with us. Our special guest speakers, DDGs and other senior officials of our department and other government departments, our co-hosts, Science Diplomacy Capital for Africa, heads of our science and academic institutions, business leaders and entrepreneurs, civil society organizations, exhibitors, students, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is really my honor and privilege to deliver this address to officially open our Science Forum South Africa 2025. Science Forum South Africa has become Africa's foremost platform for strategic science, technology, and innovation dialogue. This year is particularly special as this forum celebrates 10 years of insightful dialogue and also coincides with the conclusion of our presidency of the G20, which was a highly, highly successful event. I'm not saying this because I'm a South African, but it's all of those who came to the Science Forum, the hospitality that they experienced in South Africa. And we must thank everyone, but I would like to particularly thank the workers who seem to have impressed our visitors most in our hotels, in our restaurants, and everywhere. This year, Science Forum South Africa 2025 is held under the theme Placing Science, Technology and Innovation at the Center of Government, Education, Industry and Society. This theme is our department's recently adopted mantra and a potent national call to ensure that all aspects of our national development are driven or inspired by science, technology and innovation, and that we must consistently raise the levels of public awareness about the value of science. You can do great science, but if it is unknown in society, we are not going to move forward. If it is not known and if it is not appreciated by our communities. Science Forum 2025 brings together over 6,000 participants, including scientists, policymakers, youth innovators, entrepreneurs, and civil society representatives. The delegates can expect to participate in over 38 side events and 91 high-level panel discussions on such topics as science diplomacy, inclusive innovation, disruptive technologies, science journalism, the AU's Science, Technology and Innovation Strategy for Africa, STISA 2034, as we call it in short. Our Science Forum this year will also include an exhibition with dozens of engaging exhibits. One of its other exciting features is the South African Tech Challenge 2025. This initiative aims to identify high-potential small and medium enterprises whose technologies address societal challenges. I am pleased to state that the winners of this challenge will be announced later today. The second issue I wish to reflect on is the prevailing geopolitical and economic climate. We are living through one of the most paradoxical moments in human history. This era we are living in has seen the emergence of some of the most breathtaking technological advances in human history in the form of, amongst others, artificial intelligence, robotics, and biotechnology. But at the same time, we have also witnessed alarming levels of social inequality emerging in many parts of the world, alongside unprecedented levels of wealth acquisition by a small number of people who monopolize much of the world's income and wealth. The contradiction, where splendid technological advances coexist with vulgar levels of inequality, is one of the conundrums that science must seek to address or make a contribution towards addressing this if we are to create a fairer, more human, and stable world. How do we make sure our science and technology innovations facilitate pathways for social inclusion and social justice? In which ways can we position science diplomacy, both nationally and internationally, to make science accessible to all, especially the most marginalized citizens? These are some of the questions I hope this week's Science Forum South Africa will help to address. Whilst it might be argued that science and technology are driven by objective principles and on the basis of an objective scientific method, but the social uses of science are often not neutral. This has been true since the earliest uses of technologies during the first and second industrial revolutions, and the same holds true for digital revolutions and how technologies such as AI are being used as instruments in the commission of genocide, such as is happening in Palestine, Congo, and the Sudan. This is an important point. Science is not inherently good. What are its social uses and how do we use it? I think it's very important that we all bear that in mind, such that the struggle for scientific knowledge must simultaneously be a struggle for social justice. The third issue I wish to reflect on is the need for us to craft a fundamentally different future for the African continent. We need to be more forceful about extricating the African continent from the legacies of neocolonialism and dependent development. As a matter of fact, the world can claim to be moving forward, but if we leave the African continent behind, that will catch up with us in future. That no part of the world must be left behind if the whole of humanity is to make progress. To enable this fundamental shift, we believe Africa desperately needs what I call a sovereign research agenda for Africa. By this, I mean a research agenda that is designed, funded, and directed on the basis of African priorities and concerns. Not on the basis of the generosity of external donors. Yes, we do need donors, we do use donors, but the agenda must be African. So those donors who are real friends of Africa will give donations so that Africa is able to pursue its own sovereign agenda. To enable the development of a sovereign research agenda, we as African countries have to do the following. I can say this proudly, also coming out of a very successful G20, which also positioned itself as a G20 on the African continent for the first time. Here are some of the things that are important for a sovereign African agenda. Firstly, we need to build robust science infrastructure and regional networks that are accessible to all scientists and researchers across the continent, thereby enabling individual African countries to produce the requisite numbers of young and women scientists and researchers. Africa is a young continent, is a youthful continent. This we should not see it as a disadvantage, but it's a huge asset. If we can educate and empower African youth, they will change the world, not just the African continent, because of the numbers and the impact that they can have. But the second thing then, in order to build a sovereign research agenda for Africa, is to create institutional and policy mechanisms to reverse the loss of critical skills and intellectual property by creating conducive working conditions for scientists and researchers. Thirdly, we need to develop the capacity to process and beneficiate our own mineral wealth and reduce illicit financial outflows. Each year, African states lose substantial amounts of tax revenue to illicit outflows, which should ordinarily be used to fund education, healthcare, and other critical social services. Fourthly, we need to develop closer articulation between science, technology, and innovation on the one hand, and industry and economic networks, so as to enable tech commercialization and increase the scale and support for technology-driven small and medium enterprises. Fifthly, we need to develop a coherent strategy to use artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies to enable the implementation of the Science, Technology, and Innovation Strategy for Africa 2034. I am pleased that the implementation of the African agenda through STISA will receive dedicated attention at a plenary session here on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. See, these days we've been working over weekends and G20. I've even forgotten what day it is today. Sixth, we need to build credible pandemic preparedness capacity to address Africa's disease burden and in particular the threat of pandemics. This is critical for the realization of the African Union's objective of ensuring that by 2040, at least 60% of all vaccines needed in Africa are produced within Africa's own borders. The seventh point, it may sound benign, but so important. We must improve the quality of maths and science education in public schools and defeat the fear of mathematics and science in many of our schools. Number 8, and perhaps most importantly, African countries must significantly increase their expenditure on research and development as a percentage of the gross domestic product. Now, let me turn to South Africa very briefly, DG, before you start chasing me out here. Except I'm your boss, you can't chase me out. I'm not being bossy, I'm just stating a fact. Now, this is the fourth issue, is just to say something about South Africa's milestones in science, technology, and innovation. Guided by our country's National Development Plan 2030 and our own department's 2019 white paper, as well as our 10-year decadal plan 2022 to 2032, over the last 3 decades, we have made targeted investment in a number of critical STI areas. And as a Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation, I'm proud to state that today South Africa has made significant progress in placing science, technology, and innovation at the forefront of national development, and this has strengthened our work in promoting scientific internationalism. If my colleagues were here, they wouldn't like what I'm about to say. That we still have the challenge of convincing governments themselves to be able to embrace science, technology, and innovation, including my own government. much as it has done these things that it has done, but it's a continuous struggle. Especially when there isn't enough money. Usually science then is at the bottom. And one of the things that we need, particularly in Africa, is to ensure that we place science technology, as our theme says, at the center of society. In the area of space science and astronomy, we are proud that we are hosting the Square Kilometre Array, the world's largest radio astronomy project, and the Southern African Large Telescope, SALT, which celebrates its 20th anniversary this month. Through these projects, we have significantly enhanced our international collaboration in astronomical science and developing critical infrastructure, and in the process, producing specialists, engineers, data scientists, and so on. In the area of health innovation, one of our local companies, BioVac, recently got approval from the South African Health Regulatory Products Authority to begin clinical trials on something very original, which is the oral cholera vaccine. We know many people are scared of injection. So if you can do it orally, the better. Especially men, they are so scared of injections, myself included. This breakthrough positions South Africa as a potentially significant vaccine distributor to a full-scale manufacturing hub, and serves as a significant step in the development of a sovereign vaccine production capacity in Africa. I'm also proud to announce that earlier this month, UNESCO designated our country's African Institute on Indigenous Knowledge Systems as a Category 2 UNESCO center. This Indigenous Knowledge Systems Center brings together a network of 30 members, including 4 South African universities, 2 from Germany and 1 from Canada, and other institutions from across the continent. The center focuses on critical areas such as healthcare and wellness, climate change resilience, and environmental sustainability. All these milestones are a direct result of the investments that we have made as government in science, technology, and innovation. But they are also the result of the dedication and ingenuity of South Africa's scientists and researchers. By the way, as South Africa, in certain fields, we have got some of the best researchers in the world. So when we cooperate, we learn from others, but also they've got a lot to learn from ourselves in order to encourage shared development goals. Now, the fifth and final issue I wish to focus on is on South Africa's G20 presidency. As stated earlier, this year's Science Forum South Africa pleasantly coincides with the conclusion of our country's G20 presidency. As you may be aware, the high-level G20 leaders meeting concluded this past weekend and significantly adopted the summit declaration, which historically, by the way, was adopted at the opening and not at the end of the summit. Don't ask me why, but it was a good move, I think. As South Africa's Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, and on behalf of the entities that report to our department, I wish to formally welcome the declaration by the G20 Leaders Summit. Cheers to the We particularly support paragraph 107 of the declaration, which states that, and I quote, "We welcome the second convening of the G20 Research and Innovation Working Group and reaffirm the importance of promoting vibrant international partnership in science, technology, and innovation." We reiterate that research and innovation should be an enterprise that actively promotes the participation of women and girls in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields, and reduces global inequalities and asymmetries in the access to and production of knowledge. I'm still quoting paragraph 107. In this regard, we undertake to implement G20 recommendations on science engagement, which aim to broaden participation in and make science accessible to all in society, bolstering our commitments to open science, unquote. In fact, the hosting of Science Forum 2025 is already, in a way, a direct response to implementing the G20 recommendation on science engagement. I also, therefore, wish to take this opportunity to thank all our partners who supported our department's work, and during my time as chairperson of the Ministers of Research and Science over the past 10 months. It is also important to mention that Science Forum inspired another important global gathering, by the way, which is taking place next week in South Africa, and it's also taking place for the first time in the African continent, which is the World Conference on Science Journalism. In conclusion, DG, I'm ending now. Esteemed colleagues and participants, science holds immense promise for humanity, and in particular for the building of a just and humane world. But for this to happen, we must be deliberate about harnessing science in service of society, especially the most vulnerable and marginalized sections of society. To achieve this goal, it would require much more than conference declarations, obviously. It will also require a willingness to act collectively and in solidarity, as our G20 theme was emphasizing. Most importantly, it will require us to act with conviction and unshakable clarity about the kind of future we want to build. Let us all join hands in harnessing the power of science to build a just and humane world. One of my favorite quotations from the founding president of South Africa's democracy, Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done. May your deliberations be productive, and may you enjoy your stay in our beautiful country, those who come from outside our country. I now declare Science Forum South Africa 2025 officially open, and thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Minister. Indeed, as Africans, we need to be building an innovation Africa. It is now my pleasure to invite my sister and the CEO of the Human Sciences Research Council, who's going to chair a panel of experts that will be exploring the topic on placing science at the center of government, education, industry, and society. Over to you, my sister.
Thanks, DG. Good evening, Minister. Good evening, Deputy Minister, distinguished guests, those who've traveled far to be here. Welcome to Mzansi. It's a winning team, indeed. Minister, let me acknowledge our CEO from CSIR, and first thank him for changing the podium. For those of you who know, you know how we struggled, some of us, for this podium to be at our level. Without wasting any further time, more time, let me say a couple of things about this panel. This panel discussion is about taking some of what our minister was talking about, which essentially is about science for change, science for transformation, science in service of society for many things. At least today, my role is very easy, very simple, is to introduce the panel, and as I welcome them, maybe they can take their seats. They are going to give us their reflections, but because this is a conference, we are also going to allow you to say one or two things. So there will be time for at least 3 comments from some of you, and we will then close and hand over to our DG. So let me first welcome Dr. Avela Majavu, co-chair of the South African Young Academy of Science. Let me also welcome our ambassador, favorite ambassador, our ambassador Wu Peng, ambassador extraordinary of the people of the Republic of China in South Africa, based in South Africa. Please join us on stage. May I also invite Dr. Jean-Claude Begelman, Emeriti Professor at the Free University of Brussels. He's also a director of the Frontiers of Planet Prize and editor-in-chief of the Frontiers Policy Labs. Welcome. We are going to start with Dr. Majavu to give us her own reflections of the minister's speech, but also what we are going to be doing the next few days for this Science Forum 2025. Dr. Majavu.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Avela Majavu. I hold PhD in chemistry from Nelson Mandela University. I'd like to take this opportunity to observe the protocol to your minister and the deputy minister and everyone in the room. My reflection is going to be based on what the minister has just said now, and also what I have prepared in order to add what minister has said. So my side is from being a South African Young Academy of Science or being a co-chair. So which it means that we have unpack the theme as the whole organization. So based on what Minister has just said, it really touches me when you talk about the level of science knowledge, the level of science knowledge in the society. That's where we are impacting very much on our side, because we want to be visible and also want to see that whatever that is doing in our lab or in our organization is being seen. And also one other thing that it keeps ringing in my mind, it was the quality of maths and science in the public school. So I wanted just to quickly go back to say that as much as we position science and technology, in more especially in our government, so it is really very much important based on the evidence that we are doing in the lab. However, we are not expert. So we really need to cater ourselves in terms of now, in terms of now being mentored, because we are not really being part of the actual policing. So there is a mentorship program that we also being part of, which is based on International Network for Governmental Science Advice Africa chapter and a mentorship. So that program on its own is really making us to understand how do we make sure that the evidence that we have, we can be able to explain it and be able to cater it for everyone. So in that program, it really assisted us, because now we are moving on the side of the science diplomacy. Science diplomacy is divided into 3, of which I'm not going to go deep into them. Science and diplomacy, science for diplomacy, diplomacy for science. So we actually want to engage and understand how far can we able to go and assist with the governance. So it also understanding us now say that as much as we are collaborating with most of the young academies, which is the Sweden Young Academy, which is we are part of the Nexus, which is that now it helps us now to also expand our knowledge and also the skills. But in terms of putting the science as the center of education, I want us to dwell more on that one, because for me, it really close to my heart, because I work in the mine. I'm not in the academic world. But when it comes to science in education, I follow the model that I always like to use. It says Ikigai model. So the Ikigai model is the model from the Japan secret, is the Japan secret to a long life, happy long life. So what does it mean? It says what you love, what you're passionate about. We're all passionate about science, what you're good at. We're all good about, have talent, we have skills. Those skills have been built through our academic. And then it also talks about what the world needs. The world needs us. The world needs science, the world needs people that can go out there as the scientist, whether as the person that will love science. And then the last one, we'll talk about what you can be paid for. Really, yes, I'm a scientist, I can be paid wherever I am. But now we have unpacked this because we need now to say that, okay, what is it what is I'm passionate about? It's more about now getting everyone, being inclusive with the people without disability in STEM. So we have partnered with ASAF, our motherboard, which is we went all the way now to be inclusive, going to the township and go to do some experiment in the schools which was with a disability school. It was really a very observant on my side, because when I was doing the experiment, there was one part of where there was a deaf student. So of which now I am only relying on the person that was interpreting the science. So in them engaging, it was really something that was so powerful. And one also other thing that we have done as with the OWSD, it was part of having the youth in Daba, where else also as well we have included the disability. It was really a good experience. So coming to now to the township where I am currently, you can also see that science, they're not sure about science. So what we are doing, we go out there, going to the community, which is going to the church. Church, we know that in church you get everyone, whether it's Umkulu or Gogo and everyone that is out there. Then you can say that, let's have a say that bring a child and make science fashionable. So by doing that now, you are encouraging even the parents, because they talk about the maths and say that is very much difficult. So when you're unpacking back to them, it also helps them to understand and make sure that the younger ones are really becoming understanding of the science, so of the maths and science. So in other things that now we were discussing about with the community is that how do we make sure that our curriculum is being innovative? As much as the people have unpacked that, we need to put in also the SDGs, being part of embedded to be part of the modules. So what we actually did is that now in the community, that how do we make sure that we do? So because this thing now, we want to make sure that everyone is being included. So then now I joined one of the Makanjana Social Economic Initiative, whereby then now we sit down with the chief. So when we sit down with the chief, they'll be able to explain what is it, how can we help even the rulers of the rulers to make sure that everything has been implemented, and how do we do that? And also bringing them in, those SDGs, and also changing the maths to be a technical, mathematics, technical science, engineering, and also including the entrepreneurship, so that when the child is moving from grade 10 to grade 12, they can be able to have an extra certificate that can talk to them. And also we also make sure that we are in the rural area, we understand and we observe that we have a lot of things that we can learn from. From where I come from, which is Willowvale, there is a rock, which is the Dolomites rock. So which is that they also seen that there is something that is within that rock that can be able to assist them. And then we also have the natural herbs, which is other than now where they are using it because it's part of the community. They are using it as a herbal tea. There is also the other one that is using for the tailings, which is the umjwabasi in Xhosa. So those are the things that when you sit with the chief and then can be able to point it out for you that these are the things that we can collaborate, we can put them in as a practical examples to the student as well. Thank you.
Hello. Your Honorable Minister, my dear friend, good afternoon. It's a great honor to join this panel following the Minister's insightful keynote speech. Let me begin by extending our warmest congratulations to South Africa on hosting the historic G20 Johannesburg Summit last week. I think under South Africa presidency, the summit successfully adopted the leaders' declaration. It's not easy at all, demonstrating that the strength of multilateralism, cooperation, and placing the development aspiration of the global South at the heart of the global agenda, especially African agenda is very discussed. We also commend Minister Nchimandi for hosting the G20 Research and the Innovation Ministers meeting in September, which endorsed the ambitious Swami package and contribute a lot to the outcome of this Johannesburg G20 summit. These remarkable achievements reflects the South Africa leadership in global governance, including international science governance, and so on. Today, the minister's powerful theme placing science, technology, and innovation at the center of governments, education, industry, and society. This theme is really make me recall our Chinese government strategy on science technology development. I share with some observation with you. Our exploration over the decades I think the most important thing, first thing I would like to emphasize is the strategic guidance and the long-termism. Through national strategy like the medium and the long-term plan for science and technology and the 5-year plan for STI, we stick to the general blueprint and work on it from beginning to end. One generation upon generation. That is our strategy. Second, investing in people. We have prioritized, especially on the STEM, the science, technology, engineer, and mathematics education, and launched targeted talent programs to build a robust pipeline of scientists, engineers, and innovators. I can share you that with over 5 million STEM graduates annually, China is transforming its demographic dividend into a talent dividend, providing a continuous driving force for development. Honorable Minister, I had a suggestion here to you. If you lead to set up a foundation to prize South Africa students very good at STEM, I promise you our Chinese embassy in Pretoria will follow you up. We make our financial contribution. Thank you. The third point is integration with industry. This is the most important part. We encourage the enterprises to be the main actors in technology innovation. In 2024, last year, China companies actually accounted for 78% of the total R&D expenditure. For example, I just visited the court of Huawei. They allocated over 20% of their annual revenue to R&D, which with its R&D spending reached roughly about 180 billion RMB in 2024. I think that is phenomenal. Make sure they have the competitiveness in competition. The fourth I would like to share is the international cooperation. I mean, the openness and the global collaboration. Following the Open Science Initiative, China launched together with South Africa, African Union, and Brazil last year. We are jointly released the Open Science Action Plan this week to promote open science from concept to to action. We do believe science do not have border. China stands ready to deepen the STI partnership with South Africa to share our experience and to learn from yours. Together, we can ensure that STI truly serves a central pillar for the prosperity of our both nation and people. I thank you very much.
Thank you. May I proceed?
Yes, thank you for inviting me. It's really a privilege and an honor. And I have a background. I used to be professor of telecommunications at the University of Brussels. Then I went to the European Commission, where I was in charge for open science and open data. So I know a few of your colleagues at CAST who are working very good on this. And I also was, 10 years ago here, I was here when the first event of this kind took place, and it is quite impressive what you have done in the meantime. It is becoming a landmark event in the global dialogue on science and technology. So I would say, to quote the minister, cheers on that. And in itself, it shows that South Africa and Africa is now to be reckoned upon in the global game and the global play of science. So what are my comments inspired by the very comprehensive speech of the minister? So first of all, we all know, but we should not forget it, in particular in this continent, that science is the management of scarce resources. That's what science policy is all about. If we would want to do everything that the scientific community wants to do, you need 100 times more budget. So that is impossible. Not even the richest country can afford it. So you must make choices. And I think in your speech you already indicated what, in your view, these choices should be. Because in particular for Africa, the choices are also, and you also mentioned it, are also hindered by the fact that the availability of scientific potential, meaning academics, is not that high. The availability of potential academics, demography-wise speaking, is gigantic. So there is an enormous pool ready that can be used. But scientifically speaking, Africa is lagging behind in the ratio academics versus population, if you compare it to other continents, Europe, China, US, what have you. And that translates itself into a presence of Africa in the scientific output, which is around 2% of all articles published and 0.1% in patents. So that has to change. And whatever we want to reach here in this continent, this has to change. And that can only be done by an investment, and science is an investment, and that is something very important. That's what I learned in Brussels when we worked on the framework programs. If you try to sell science as a cost, it is always very problematic. If you sell it as a necessary investment, like you need a highway, it's much easier, because that is what people understand. If you want to buy in from people, what you were talking about, you need to make sure that they understand that what is done for them, what costs millions and billions, is an investment for their future and not something to keep a few academics happy. I also think that what is really important, and what the Chinese ambassador already indicated indirectly, is that we need to be aware of a changing landscape of science. On the one hand, it is no longer transatlantic. Until, let's say, the 90s, the turn of the century, science was dominated by Europe-US. Actually, the other way around, but I'm from Europe, so I say Europe-US. But that's no longer the case. Since 2 weeks, China, not only in volume, but also in high-ranking publications, took the leadership. So the most dominant actor in the fundamentals of science, fundamental science, is now China. Which you think about it what you want, but it shows you that with a good plan and concerted action, you can reach there. Because 40 years ago, no one would have bet 1 rand on if that China would lead the world of science 40 years later. And a rand is not much to lose, but so that is really important. So we are no longer in a transatlantic axis. We are, and that's why that's why the G20 is so important. We are in a new map of science. The geography of science is fundamentally different, which means the partnerships are fundamentally different. And I'm saying that this is more a problem in Europe because the normal axis is going to the US, but we should no longer do that. We should do it we should really look where are the specialists in the fields we want to have, and they are all over the world now, and there is no reason why they should not come from Africa. For example, the vaccination example that you give, the people in Cape Town are world-class in developing indigenous vaccination. So that's really a new reality which we have to factor in our science policies. The second thing, and there you alluded to, Mr. Ambassador, with open science, the second changing dynamic is that we are no longer, it's self-evident what I'm going to say, but we have to think about it. We are no longer in an analog world of science. All science is now digital and data-driven. And my view, and I belong to a company and a foundation in Switzerland that is science-driven and that tries to promote data-driven science. I would be highly surprised that in the years to come, let's say in 10 years' time, 80% of what we publish is a data article, mainly done by machines. Now that's a completely new reality in terms of skills. You alluded to it. You need to retrain the skills there for your young academics. But also, and that's where I come back to what you said, Mr. Ambassador, that makes open science even more important. Because if the future of science is data-driven, and all science is data-driven, the oil of science is data. Now, with AI, what some of the big companies are doing is trying exactly the opposite, trying to block access to the data. So if we no longer, not only in Africa, but in the world of science, no longer have access to the fundamentals of science, to the building blocks, which is the data, because of the monetization of data, but also because of the political use of data, if you declare that climate change doesn't exist and you trash all the data, you made it a political issue. Now, if that happens, we have a huge problem in science, and that's why open science is so important. And that's why it is fantastic to hear again that in the G20, and I think you did it already last time also, you started under Brazilian leadership, no, Indian, sorry. So when you took it over, you really developed this topic of open science, because open science is more as a, it's nice to have open access. It is fundamental for the progress of science around the globe, that every scientist at the lowest possible price can have access to the building blocks, not only to the articles, but also to the building blocks of science. Finally, to wind up, my experience in the European continent is that if you want to make progress in a world where the resources are scarce, and you have indicated it, Mr. Minister, is that you need to make choices, you need to make priorities. And what are the priorities? Well, they are self-evident. It's mission-driven science. What are the big missions for the continent, for the country, and then stick to that. But the point I wanted to make, let's talk for Europe now. We had this mission-driven approach, but it was a gigantic problem to implement it. So the point I want to make is that you really need strong and good leadership there to translate the mission. Everyone agrees on let's fight poverty. Let's take an easy example. Now let's translate that now into scientific research programs. Then it's less easy, because at every university, every faculty, every department will want their share of the cake, and that's not how you manage best scarce resources. You need to pool, which means there are things you don't do, which means that some will not be able to do what they do and others do. So leadership is extremely important.
Thank you so much. We have... I had indeed promised that we will take maybe 2 or 3 brief comments. There can be questions. No one is going to answer your questions. We want comments. So show of hands, maybe let's start this side. There's a comment right at the back. 1, and right here 2. The last one, going once, and the third one, and the fourth one. So everyone is going to be very, very, very brief then. All right, we start right at the back. Is there a roving mic at the back?
Yes, I think, thank you so much, and thank you, Minister, and all the speakers. I'll just go straight.
Let me just check who's I didn't recognize you. I was recognizing that gentleman. You may proceed.
Thank you. My name is Reinhard. I'm coming from Sefako Makgato Health Science Universities. Hi. The comment that I wanted to say is that SMU is it's in a marginalized community. And we need, as we are speaking right now, we need to really focus at SMU. Why? Because it is in a location that really needs medical scientific research to actually happen there. The strategies or research that is being made at Western Cape cannot really cater for the community that side. You can't do something at Western Cape and then and think that it will work at Pretoria, you know. So for us to really cater for our people, we really need to turn SMU into a scientific hub for that community. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's come here. You can switch on your mic, I think. Just press yes.
Hello, can you hear me? Do I have to keep pressing this? No. Oh, okay, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Charlie Sitong Zhang. I am from China and I am doing my PhD in South Africa on Africa-China studies. So I was actually very honored to be a speaker this morning in a high-level panel discussion on China-Africa scientific cooperation. So I'm extremely honored to be here today. Thank you very much. And congratulations to South Africa on the G20 presidency, because for the past year, I was part of the civil society that's been engaged in the policy recommendation process to the South African government. So I really applaud South Africa for including the civil society in the policy-making process. So great things are happening in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Let's move to this, that same row. Yes, ma'am. The person who raised their hand is not looking at me. Let's take this comment here.
Thank you, moderator. I think I just want to touch on the comments made by Jean and Ambassador Peng, but link them to the first statement that the minister said, that if your science is not known, then you are not really doing science. But what I want us to think about, who knows the science? Is it your peers or is it the community that you said you are serving that science for? So I think then it comes back to what Jean just mentioned, that Africa is only producing about 2% of the publications. But are we doing science for publication? Because if we play in that game of publication, we know all the inequities for the global majority that exist, because the power is still staying in the global minority in publishing. So yes, we need to think about this. And when we talk about openness and actually serving or using science or openness of the science for society, this is when, in the Open Science Recommendation by UNESCO, is where we do science to serve societal needs. I think we just need to think about that.
Thank you. There's a gentleman right at the back where I exercised my power. I didn't recognize him, so you may proceed, sir.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate. My name is Uchenna from Research Hall. And again, thank you, Minister, and everyone. I'm coming from the direction of maths literacy because I'm in the capacity development angle, and I've been seeing the issues around math and maths literacy. But I just want to say, how do we do this to assist? I want to use an example of a tribe, of a country in Africa. They are known for business, not too much into education. If you call them and say, what is 2 plus 2? They'll be moping, looking at you. But when you say, let me say, what is 1 rand plus 1 rand? They will tell you 2 rands. What does it tell us? They know the money, but they don't know the numbers in terms of education. That means if maths is taught with what the people know, and not the generic way of teaching mathematics, even those in management that we think are not that inclined in mathematics or sciences will actually be good mathematicians. That's just what I want to say, because math literacy, which is the easier path, most of the students or the learners are taking that path, and we are seeing the effect in the society. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take the last comment. Yes.
I would have stated as a question, but there's no one who's answering questions. But I wanted, my aspiration, my wish is that we would keep this trajectory, especially as Africa, if you call it African Scientific and Innovation and Technology trajectory, I would be fine, of ensuring that Africa is never going to be behind, because we are always behind technologically. We are always behind in research, behind in everything we are doing, but trying to make sure that we are not cut short by political transitions. We have a minister now who is pushing and driving this agenda, but we may not always have that, and we may regress into the past. So if I were to ask it as a question, how do we avoid those pitfalls?
Thank you, and it's the role of this conference to deliberate on avoiding the pitfalls. Let me allow the panel maybe a quick last comment, and we close the session. One last comment.
Well, you know, we can debate all these issues and comments, which are very valuable for at least 10 days, but I think we should always remember one thing. Science is essential and is part of the solution, but science alone cannot do it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. On my side, when I think about science, when I think about science, I think that industry, they are not there if the science is not there. So let's make sure that we bridge that gap. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our discussion confirms an important consensus that science, technology, innovation must be at the heart of the national development. It is vital to turn disbelief into tangible progress through persistent implementation of long-term vision. As we have seen today, China, South Africa, we already achieved a lot, but I think the potential is huge. Thank you.
Thank you Thanks to the panel. Thank you very much for starting the conference after an inspiring opening remarks and speech keynote by our minister, who always challenges us to think. if there's any pitfalls, someone was asking what are the pitfalls will be to get a minister who can think, especially about science. So that's the first one. So how do we clone AI? How do we clone this minister so that we continuously to have a minister who can think and challenge us? I want to wish all of us well in this conference. This panel has been exceptional. Thank you very much. And the panel session is closed.
No, thank you very much, Professor Sarah and your esteemed panel. Let's give them another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just slightly behind our program, Sarah, by 4 minutes, but we are hoping to catch up. It is now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into an inaugural African Planet Prize Awards, which is an inaugural award recognizing transformative science from emerging African researchers, which will be announced. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce Professor Lisa Colston, the President of the African Academy of Science, and Professor Jean-Claude, the Emeritus Professor, Free University of Brussels, and the Director of the Frontiers Planet Prize and Editor-in-Chief of the Frontiers Policy Labs, to provide an overview of the African Planet Awards. Let's welcome them.
Thank you very much, our Deputy Minister. And I'm going to start straight away by handing over to Professor Jean-Claude Burgelman, Director of the Frontiers Planet Prize. And he's going to just take us through that Planet Prize landscape. And then I want to focus a little bit on building African capacity within the Planet Prize. So Jean-Claude, the floor is yours. And the slides is coming.
So, hi again. So, I will be very short in view of time. So, the Frontiers Planet Prize, of which the African Planet Prize is a kind of a spin-off, if you want. So, in terms of innovation, I'm very proud of that. It started 2 years ago, and it's a prize exclusively dedicated to finding solutions for the planetary crisis where we are in. And of course, it always goes wrong. There it is. So the prize is a global competition for the best science that has been published in a peer review article, in a peer review journal, and which is being judged by an independent jury of 100 eminent climate scientists to come up with a solution that might keep the planet healthy, to put it very simple. Every year, it has been started in 2022, every year it issues 3 times 1 million for the winner, which is a lot of money. Eh? So it is part of, the money comes from the Frontiers Research Foundation, who decided that rather than buying a boat, we can probably do something useful for the climate. The scope of the prize is very simple. You all know that we just had 3 weeks of discussions in Belém. The planet is navigating in 9 boundaries. You cannot transgress them. 7 of them are transgressed. And if we transgress them, we have to bring it back. So we try to bring to the forefront the science that we need to avoid transgression or bringing it back. Now why? Because it has to go faster. The normal life cycle of science is, let's say, 15 to 30 years. And then when a good idea becomes reality, we simply do not have the time to wait so long. So we must be faster, we must inspire more scientists to do that, we must make sure that more of our brains of the world can dedicate their time to it. Oh, sorry, in the wrong way. We have in the meantime, so we launched it in 2022, we have now close to 750 universities from around the globe, 61 countries participating, quite a few, actually many in South Africa, not too many in Africa, and that's where the initiative of Lise, of the president of the African Academy of Science, will come in. But as you can see, it is gaining momentum, and all together we have close to 30 academies helping us, 23 academies, sorry, helping us to find the best science in their country or continent. And that's also where we work closely together with ASAF and with the African Academy of Science. The whole idea is very simple. You bring in your proposal at a national basis. That goes to the academy. They aggregate it. They take the best, the 3 best. It goes to the jury of 100. Out of those nominations, they take the best per country, national champion. And out of the national champions, 3 international winners are selected. It's a bit like the Olympics. We also call it an Olympic for science. What is really important is that everything is decided by these 100 scientists. So they are the most prominent, or amongst the most prominent, climate, ecologists, what have you, scientists, and several of Africa are part of it as well. We as foundation, we do not intervene there. Which means that if you're nominated by the jury, it means that you're nominated by your peers as excellent. And that is the beauty and the power of the prize, I think. There is no handpicking at all. And these are a few examples of winners. So we have had up till now close to 60 winners, the 3 years aggregated. Well, that's already the South African one of the first year, but we have winners from all continents. So again, as I said in the previous panel, the geography of science has changed. We have winners from the US, we have winners from Europe, but also from Asia. In the first year, we had an international winner from China. We have winners from Australia, from Canada, from all over the world. It reflects indeed that science is a global business. In the first year, we had a winner from Cape Town, this team here, led by those 2 scientists. And as you can see, and that's exactly the purpose of the prize, by having the prize, they attracted more resources, and it allowed them to create a lab that we were not able to create before that because of lack of funding and whatsoever. And that's exactly what we try to achieve. So that you get a kind of a snowball effect, of course. In order to speed up, that's again the winners. And in terms of impact, well, you see some figures there. I'm not going to run over it, but altogether, up till now, around 10,000 scientists of the world have participated in the competition. And that's important because that means that people start thinking about it and they see the effect of their science, and that we create a kind of a global brain to save the planet. It sounds pathetic, but it's a nice phrase to remember, isn't it? So it is going in the right direction. We are increasing, we are speeding up the cycles. We get very good feedback from universities, from countries. We are cited, not we, the scientists are cited in all kind of influential programs. So we are on the right track, but we have only a window till 2050, if you follow the recommendations of the IPPC and so on. And that means that even though the first results are encouraging, we still need to do much, much, much more. One of my favorite topics is we still don't have a clean battery. Electrification is one of the essential components of a zero-sum transition, but in order to make it really zero-sum, you need, or climate neutral, you need clean batteries. Well, the only people who can deliver it are the scientists. Well, we need much more science there. So we need much more science of all kind of directions. And in particular, that's where we bring in all kind of partners, and in particular here in Africa, in order to make sure that we tap into the potential of this continent, which is much bigger than Europe. So potentially there must be much more good scientists around in this continent that can contribute. In that context, we created, actually we supported the African Academy of Science to create their own African Planet Prize. Lisa.
So let me just say thank you very much for making the podium shorter. It was difficult last night. I also want to say that planetary health is a shared responsibility, and we do know that. I want to then, very importantly, thank the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, and specifically, Honourable Minister, Dr. Blades-Mandi, thank you so much for all your support, and also our Deputy Minister, and then also the Ambassador, the directors, deputy directors, heads of departments, vice-chancellors, all protocol observed, and colleagues, fellow scientists. This is really an incredible day, and I need to tell you the story how this started, because 2 years ago I attended the Planet Prize, and it was breathtaking, it was wonderful, and I thought the prize money was even better. But then I thought, why don't we have more African scientists on that podium? It must change. And I remember the first picture was a big map of the world, and all the people on the short list was there, and there is Africa slapdash in the middle, and we know it's much bigger now than everyone's reflecting, and I'm hoping the African Union is going to push that point through. And there wasn't spots in Africa, and that must change. And then I went to Frontiers and I said, please, let's work together. Let's introduce a unique African Planet Prize so that we can foster the next generation of scientists and encourage them and create a pathway. We need the brightest minds to help resolve. And I think particularly in Africa, with our disproportionate impact that we're going to have with the climate crisis, we have incredible bright minds, and they need a voice. And now is the time. We need to provide that leadership and support for our young scientists and climate change scientists specifically. And it's not only climate science, but it's also food security systems, biodiversity loss, sustainable systems. Africa's got a voice. We need to participate and be more active in global scientific conversations. And it's very important, as our minister said, the entire world loses a vital piece of the solution if Africa is not sitting around the table. So as president of the African Academy of Science, I'm deeply honored that we've got this opportunity and that Frontiers partnered with us to create a unique African Planet Prize. And we do have a significant prize funding, and I do hope we will get special offers from the floor tonight to add to that so that we can challenge the Global Frontiers Planet Prize. But this is important because this will enable us to have targeted impact. It will also help us to focus on planetary boundaries and, very importantly, give African scientists that space on the global stage. I think it's very important that our visibility, our networking, and our mentorship must guide our young scientists and open up the opportunities for our continent's brilliant minds. And this is very important to help them succeed and be the future leaders. So with that, I would like to invite all of you Friday to come to the African Academy of Sciences event where we will announce the first African Planet Prize winner. And I want to thank all the partners who supported us, ASAF, Frontiers, and many other role players. Thank you very much. And Minister, you were right. It's also almost seemed impossible for me, and now it's almost there. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to be out here in 30 minutes, so please cooperate with me. We have now reached a stage where we will be focusing on the prize-giving awards for the inaugural 2025 South Africa Tech Challenge. Not only are we recognizing outstanding innovation, but also celebrating the launch of a new generation of policy thinking, one that believes innovation is not an accident of talent, but the result of a deliberate national investment and design. across the world, nations that have advanced rapidly share a common understanding that innovation thrives when governments create the right instruments to unlock it. The South African Tech Challenge is such an instrument. It is a way of turning policy into participation, transforming the abstract idea of innovation culture into a living, breathing reality that every young South African can be part of. The challenge gives structure to creativity. It provides a national platform for inventors, entrepreneurs, and is one of the most powerful ways for us to incentivize problem solving, building public-private collaboration, and ensure that innovation leads to tangible social and economic impact by moving from problem identification to proof of concept along the value chain and eventually to commercialization. Challenges such as the inaugural 2025 South Africa Tech Challenge are of such great strategic importance as policy instruments because they provide a structured, results-driven mechanism to stimulate innovation, entrepreneurship, and public-private collaboration. And such initiatives have proven effective in accelerating problem-solving, commercialization, and technology diffusion. For African economies where innovation ecosystems are still nascent and emerging, tech challenges create low barrier entry points for SMMEs, youth, and women innovators, thus fostering inclusivity while addressing the national development priorities. They strengthen the innovation value chain, enhance industrial competitiveness, and catalyze high-impact solutions in areas such as outlined in our decadal plan for science, technology, and innovation. In addition, evidence from international programs shows that innovation challenges generate positive economic returns, can contribute to job creation, and gross domestic products, inclusive growth, positioning them as high-return, policy-efficient tools for advancing a country's STI agenda. This challenge fits well with our STI decadal plan. It is indeed not an isolated event. It's part of a broader innovation support and enablement program initiative under the department's Program 2, that's responding to the decadal plan, specifically aligned with a vision for a functional innovation framework. Through this program, the department aspires to build an ecosystem that equips innovators with the competencies to succeed, connects ideas to investment and markets, uses evidence and data to guide policy and funding decisions. By embedding the SA Tech Challenge as part of the broader policy instruments, our government ensures that the competition is not a once-off event, but a core element of a continuous innovation pipeline. Indeed, a mechanism that will help South Africa move discoveries from our laboratories and into our factories, markets, and communities. When the top 6 category winners of this challenge took their ideas to the G20 Digital Innovation Alliance Summit and represented South Africa at the G20 MSME ICT Challenge held in Cape Town in September this year, they proved that South Africa's creativity can compete with the world best. The event brought together innovators from 16 countries in an extraordinary display of ingenuity and collaboration, and the world watched as South African excellence was showcased. The success of SA Tech Challenge category winners on the global stage showed that our innovators don't just build apps or products, they build solutions that empower communities, create jobs, and enhance inclusion. These achievements have positioned South Africa as a global hub of digital creativity, inclusivity, and impact, a testament to the vision, talent, and tenacity of our people. This is precisely why the South African Tech Challenge will become a permanent feature of our innovation landscape because it represents the intersection of policy, vision, and people's potential. When we fund innovation, we are not just supporting ideas, we're investing in South Africa's future competitiveness, inclusivity, and resilience. Therefore, it is critical to work with industry, academia, and other development partners on this model to support our innovators to succeed. So as we honor the winners of the inaugural 2025 South Africa's Tech Challenge, let us all celebrate what they represent. A South Africa that believes in its thinkers, backs its builders, and rewards those who dare to solve our problems. May this be the first of many milestones in our journey toward a nation defined by innovation, not only in policy but in practice. To the next generation of innovators, South Africa will continue to nurture ideas, fund experimentation, and celebrate discovery. Through this challenge, our department will strengthen collaboration across sectors, support innovation-led entrepreneurship, enhance South Africa's competitiveness, and ensure that the benefits of innovation reach everyone, every community, urban or rural, young and old, women and men alike. Innovation is not the privilege of the few. It is the collective engine that will drive our nation forward toward an economic resilience, social inclusion, and an environmental sustainability. In a few moments, ladies and gentlemen, we will present the awards to the winners of the 2025 Tech Challenge, the trailblazers whose creativity and determination embody the spirit of the nation's innovation agenda. May their success inspire others to dream, design, and dare to push boundaries, solve problems, and transform our society through science, technology, and innovation. Congratulations to all participants and to our inaugural winners. Thank you for showing us what is possible when vision meets the opportunity. At this stage, I wish to invite Ms. Michelle Hadin, who's going to moderate this session as we celebrate the winners of the inaugural Tech Challenge Awards. Let's welcome her.
Thank you, Program Director. Good evening, Honourable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols are duly observed. I'm greatly honoured to extend a particularly warm welcome to our 6 winners. They will momentarily receive their respective allocations from our substantial pool of 3 million rand in prize monies. Yes. And I want to also add, as the lady before me, if anyone else wants to add to that pool money in future, you're more than welcome. I will be here afterwards. But before we proceed with the award presentation, I wish to invite to the stage the Head of Auditing of the company's Intellectual Property Commission, Mr. Mpo Matose, who is going to formally verify the challenge process.
Thank you, Michelle, Program Director, Minister, Deputy Minister. I have to greet the CIPC Commissioner, who's in the room today, distinguished guest. It is often called a pandemic, the fact that as a country we have rules that we put in place, but in many instances fail to comply with those rules. It's almost as if the rules don't matter as long as the car is moving. It's only when the car breaks down that people remember that there are rules that had to be observed at the beginning. I must say it's quite an innovation in itself, the fact that the program administrators have realized that the rules of the competition have to be observed throughout the competition itself. We, as the independent auditors of the competition, Minister can confirm that the results of the winners are indeed a true reflection of the judging process, and that the results are reflective of a fair process and in compliance with the rules of the competition. So therefore, Minister, rest assured that there will not be a call for a commission of inquiry after the winners are announced. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matoze. At this juncture, I am going to respectfully invite some of our dignitaries back onto the stage to help me in presenting the awards and to also celebrate with our winners and congratulate them. So, Minister, Honourable Minister, if you please would mind to join us back on the stage and have a seat here in the first chair next to me. Thank you. Well done, well done. May I please also invite the Deputy Minister to the stage to join the Honourable Minister on the stage. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I also call upon the Commissioner of the Company Intellectual Property Commission to join us on stage. Thank you. And lastly, the CEO of the CSIR, please. Just a quick reminder to our winners that once you receive your award, please pause for a quick photo, and then you can make your way across the stage, and please come and stand here at my right-hand side. We do want to take a group photo at the end of the ceremony. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let the exciting part start. I want to ask, please, the CEO of the CSIR to hand out the first two awards. So if you can step forward, I'd appreciate that. You will be handed a certificate shortly. I'm going to commence with our overall sixth place winner, who will receive a grant funding allocation of 250,000 Rand. This company was also the winner of the Innovations for Connectivity category. Their EdTech solution enhances educational efficiency through AI-powered grading tools that reduce teacher workload and improve learner outcomes. Congratulations to the Marking App. We welcome to the stage Ms. Kutso Selotole to receive this award. Our overall fifth place winner will also receive a grant funding allocation of 250,000 Rand. This company was also the winners of the Digital Platforms category, and their solution is transforming access to dignified work and essential home services through inclusive digital platform models. Congratulations to Sweep South. We welcome Ms. Lorandi Kriel to receive the award. Thank you. Commissioner, please, if you would like to step forward to hand over the next 2 awards, that would be very appreciated. All right, our overall 4th place winner, also receiving a grant funding allocation of 250,000 Rand. They were the winners of the Secure Digital Infrastructure category. This exceptional cyber defense company is strengthening national cybersecurity and digital resilience through advanced threat management solutions. We congratulate Snow Technologies. Please welcome Mr. Stefan Krano to the stage. Moving along to our overall 3rd place winner, who will receive a grant funding allocation of 500,000 Rand. This company was also the winner of the Innovations for Development category. They are advancing biomedical innovation through the design and manufacturing of next-generation orthopedic and soft tissue fixation devices. A congratulations to Ortho Design. Please welcome Mr. Dion Peach to the stage. Thank you, Commissioner. The next award will be presented by the Deputy Minister, please. Our overall 2nd place winner will receive a grant funding allocation of 750,000 Rand. They were also the winners of the FinTech category, with an exceptional platform that advances financial inclusion for informal sector workers and individuals earning irregular or cash-based income. Congratulations to Kasi Money. And we welcome Mr. Tami Hoza to the stage. Don't forget the photo. Yeah. Thank you so much, Deputy Minister. I would like to respectfully request that the Honourable Minister present the final award. Ladies and gentlemen, our overall 1st place winner will receive a grant funding allocation of 1 million Rand. They were also the winners of the Circular Economy category, with newly developed pipe freeze crystallization technology that converts acid mine drainage and industrial effluent into drinking quality water and valuable byproducts, thereby addressing water security and environmental sustainability. A huge congratulations to Rock Water Technologies. Please welcome Professor Janie Maria. Minister, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay up front. I'm saying you're welcome to stay up front. If I can please ask our dignitaries and the winners to just move to the front of the stage, then we can take one nice big group photo. I would also, if you allow me, at this point, I want to sincerely thank all of our partners. With the support of the partners we've received, we were able to make this a really successful tech challenge. I see the excitement brewing there. I'm going to just mention our partners and thank them from the bottom of our hearts. First of all, the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, the Technology Innovation Agency, the WITS Timologong Digital Innovation Precinct, the Innovation Hub, and the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. So, ladies and gentlemen, please let us now give our exceptional innovators and the institutions supporting them a final round of applause. Thank you, Program Director. I hand over back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Siyabonga, siyabonga. Hayi sesiqedile. Kodwa basazoya kubezosika ikhekhe. Makuqedwe udaba. Mhlambe May I then invite the Deputy Director General, Mr. Dutoit, to come on stage quickly.
Thank you very much, DG and Honourable Minister and Deputy Minister. As the Honourable Minister indicated, we're celebrating 10 years of Science Forum South Africa, and we thought it would be amiss not to have this opening session without a very brief reflection on the past 10 years. And we want to do that, of course, because we want to celebrate. We also want to be inspired, but certainly above all, we want to thank all those who have contributed. First Science Forum South Africa was organized in 2015, as many of you will know, at the initiative of our then Minister, Dr. Naledi Pandor. And it really started when the Minister started to attend what then became very popular on the global stage, events like the European Science Open Forum, ESOF, or the annual meeting of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. And Minister Pandor then thought, South Africa and Africa need such an event. We need an event which, like today, can bring our national system of innovation together, build a community. We need an event, and our Honourable Minister mentioned this in his speech, which can promote, can profile South African and African science on the global stage. And we wanted to make sure that Africa becomes an integral part of the open science discourse. And Professor Bergmans indeed was here 10 years ago, and we appreciate your reflections on the way we started. So we started in 2015, Honourable Minister. We had 1,500 participants. We thought it was a lot. We had already from the start several renowned international speakers like the late Omi-san, chair of the renowned Science, Technology and Society Forum in Japan. And almost anticipating perhaps the future, our first keynote speaker was Professor Salim Abdul Karim, who we will all recall of his role in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. And then in 2015, he actually spoke about the importance of pandemic preparedness. The bottom picture there is quite significant for those who often come to Science Forums of Africa, because at that first event, Minister Pandor, Dr. Pandor, had laid a challenge that the Science Forum will not continue the next year unless the closing plenary has a full room. And that was a picture from that event. We continued in 2016. I think always very importantly, Science Forum South Africa has sought to be relevant. In 2016, there was a special focus on the social sciences, discussions on topics such as a minimum wage, how do we deal with the high university dropout. There was a special outreach event in the inner city, and very importantly, as a concrete legacy, after discussions at the 2015, the forum saw the launch of the African Open Science Platform, an initiative with the support of the National Research Foundation, which still continues today. And then 2017 was really a first consecration. In 2 years, the event had grown to more than 3,000 participants. And very memorably, our then Deputy President, today our President, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, was the keynote speaker. And the event included a priority discussion on themes such as equity and inclusion and social science. We were very privileged, and we continue to be privileged through the champions such as Minister Nzimande, that support for the Science Forum has continued, even when ministers change. So in 2018, our minister was Minister Kubai, who's today our Minister of Justice. The event by then had grown to more than 4,000 participants. It became younger. By today, it's close to 40%. By then, 20% of all speakers were under 35, and we had a priority theme on the Industrial Revolution. In 2019 continued to evolve. There was a very specific focus on embracing innovation, notably working with Ms. Michelle Harding, who just spoke. The event was co-located with a special innovation bridge event, which looked at the commercialization of public-funded R&D. And then, very importantly, Minister, this was the first time we had the privilege for Minister Nzimande to preside over the Science Forum South Africa, and it saw then also the formal announcement that South Africa would host the World Science Forum in 2021. And certainly Science Forum South Africa created a foundation for that. And then, of course, 2020, everything changed. We had lots of plans for Science Forum South Africa 2020, but because of the pandemic, it had to be changed. But that didn't cause the department and the minister to be discouraged. We went completely online. We had more than 50 dedicated sessions online, which were joined by participants from all over the world. A very strong focus on the time on issues of inequality and social justice within the context of the pandemic, and which was really heartening. We had several online messages of support for the Science Forum, including from our African Union Commissioner. And we had to show resilience because 2021 proved as disruptive in the end because of, and it was actually during the Science Forum that the Omicron variant was announced. It had to be a hybrid event, and you can see the television snapshot there of even the television presenter wearing a mask reporting on the Science Forum. But still, the event continued. A dynamic debate, not only about the pandemic, but also topical themes such as green hydrogen, which continues to be a major part of the Science Forum today. And of course then, yeah, this is just a snapshot for all of those of you who will recall the Science Forum in those days when we were all behind our screens, but still continuing the discussion, igniting conversations about science. So in 2022, that was the moment. Very fittingly, strategically, Minister Nzimande had announced that this first World Science Forum on Africa will have as theme a science for social justice. Again, we were honored by our president who addressed, and I think by all accounts, even today, the World Science Forum 2022 was unparalleled in the diversity and in the vibrancy of its discussions. And that really was also because of the foundation laid by Science Forum South Africa. Then we were back in 2023, and we had to, in a sense, restart because that was then already 4 years that we didn't have a normal Science Forum. But immediately, the event continued to grow with success, more than almost close to 4,000 participants. It was the first formal partnership with the Science Diplomacy Capital for Africa, which was launched. We saw the announcement of the World Conference of Science Journalists to take place in South Africa, and something I haven't mentioned before, the exhibition continued to grow from strength to strength. Last year, we saw sustained momentum. For the first time, we were privileged to have Deputy Minister Gina join us in supporting the Science Forum. We notably see Prof. Sarah, the HSRC, releasing the seminal report on a public relationship with science, and we had more than 5,000 participants. And as the Deputy Minister said, as we're standing today for the whole week, we today already have 6,000 participants, and it was the discussions at Science Forum South Africa which also laid the foundation for our G20 agenda. So, as I've said, most importantly is to thank everyone, because the Science Forum is about people. We should thank you, Minister, for, in the first instance, for more than 6 years now being a champion, an advocate for the Science Forum, and we do not take that for granted. But also your predecessors, the Deputy Minister and the Director General, the Forum would not be possible without your support. And then, of course, all the DSTI officials who have contributed over the years, and the broader DSTI entities. All of them, in the beginning, the National Research Foundation was absolutely critical to ensure the success of the Science Forum. The CSIR has always been the host, and we do appreciate that. And then all of our international partners. I see several in the room, many of whom have been with us for 10 years, but then above all we continue. Minister, you quoted former President Mandela. I would also like to end with a quotation from him, because that's also ultimately what a Science Forum is about. It is not just the fact that we live, that we have this forum, but it's how we use this forum to make a difference and improve the quality of living of all. So to all who have contributed, thank you very much, and please enjoy this forum as a celebration. So we will just now have a symbolic cutting of the cake, Minister, and then do join us for the reception afterwards, because you will be able to enjoy the actual cake.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you have just observed, it actually marks the end of our session today. I wish to thank everyone. Deputy Minister, thank you very much for helping us to save some time. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all invited to the official opening of the exhibition, which will take place in the foyer of the ICC, and observe the ribbon cutting ceremony by the Minister, which will be followed by the reception. So let us all enjoy. The choir should lead us in performance as we move to the exhibition. Over to you, choir. Thank you very much.